Please continue to enjoy your breakfast as we begin this program. It's a real pleasure to introduce to you our first speakers this morning, Joe and Judy Emmett. The Emmets are residents of Huntsville, Texas. Joe owns his own business as a plumbing contractor and is a member of the Huntsville City Council. Judy's a successful real estate broker in the Huntsville area. So for the parents we have with us today, this part is just for you. Joe and Judy know exactly what you're going through now and know what lies ahead over the next 4 years. Their daughter, who is this morning's keynote speaker, attended the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. This amazing family, I love, this is the American dream right here. You know, a small business owner, a wife, a mother, and a business person herself who create the values in a child who goes on to lead and serve this country. It really is, this is the best. This is what's good about America. So I'm sure they're going to help answer your questions, perhaps calm your nerves a little bit. Thank you, Joe and Judy, for being with us today. Please welcome Joe. Thank you.
Good morning. Glad to be here. I'm kind of a bottom line person, and I don't put a lot of fluff on the story. I just kind of try to tell you where it is. And I'm sure right now there are a bunch of real nervous cadets here that are going into a challenge that they're not sure of. They don't know what to expect. But on the other side, there are a bunch of nervous parents here who don't know what to expect. They're taking their children, their high school senior who's been running around having a normal high school experience, and fixing to send them off into the hard, cruel world of the military academy. Well, you'll survive. They will be upset, they will call, they will have good days, they will have bad days, but they will survive. The problem is the parents have to survive too. And you have to remember that you will survive too, even though they think the end of the world's coming. This is the worst place I've ever been. Next week it'll be the greatest place they've ever been. So you need to be really upright with them. You need to encourage them all along the way. You need to keep the faith. They're not going to melt or go away. They'll survive through the camp. So the parents have to survive the ordeal too. But it's a great experience. It's kind of different than taking any other child off to college. You take them to the University of Texas, you go in, here's your dorm room, here's your apartment, you go over here and you sign up for these classes and you have a great time. At the military academy, you go in, you walk in the door, you hug and kiss them, love them, and when they walk across the bridge, they're grown up. They're out of your hands, and they're on their own. And that's kind of hard to take sometimes. I know that when we dropped off my daughter, it took us 3 days to leave Colorado Springs. We didn't know if she was staying or not. And I didn't know if Mama was staying or not. And to tell you the truth, I was a little nervous about it myself. But if you have any doubts about doing this, when you go back for Parents' Day weekend and you're in the stands and you see them walk in with their group, and they're all in their uniform and they're all marching across the parade field, and you've got your binoculars looking, and oh, there they are, right there. No, that's not the right one. and you find them in the parade, you'll know that you did the right thing. And you know that they're doing the right thing too. Thank you.
From my perspective, when we sent her off and we kissed her, and I thought, they're not going to keep her. So we stayed for 3 days, that's correct. We saw her in the parade. You could look down. Well, I don't know about the naval, how in the Army, but you can look down on the quadrangle at the Air Force Academy, and we spotted her, and she went, and then the basic training, that write letters. She could write, and y'all just start writing letters before they get there. And but it was, I don't know that I can do this, you know. And then the boys helped the girls helped the boys, and great friends. And the education was difficult. The military was difficult. I won't tell you there was anything easy, except they made tremendous friends. And then they finally got a car when they were a junior, you know, because she said, I can't get off the plantation. But, you know, she said, I could be at the University of Texas on 6th Street, you know. But she was at the Air Force Academy, and I would go more often than Joe, and we'd go, but then you go for every parade, sit in the stands, get there early, and you'll be so proud, and the planes fly over, take tours, parents' weekend. Try to go to as many football games as you can, because that's America at its best. And it was fun. But then the senior, it's a week of excitement when they graduate. And then the Thunderbirds fly over and they throw their hats up, and they're hugging each other and the general's going crazy up on the stage because they're kind of leaping on each other. And but then they get their assignments. And it's been a great road, but it's not an easy task ever. And I wish y'all all the best. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to leave my phone number or email, because you'll be nervous, both of y'all, all of y'all, you know, and it's good days, bad days, and but y'all will leave there with a fine education. And I want to congratulate you all on being appointed. It's a tremendous honor to you and your parents. So if y'all have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Judy, how do the parents stay in touch with each other as far as sort of the support group for the academy? What's the best way to sort of take advantage of that network?
Well, when Deanne started, we found out that there was a support group and it was just the Air Force Academy. And I'm sure there was one for the other services. And we started going, so there were people that were senior parents, junior parents, and so they kind of would tell you about the ups and the downs, and most everybody plays in some athletic event, and you know what they were doing and how they were doing. And when Deanne first started, the internet wasn't like it is now. So it was a barely dial-up everywhere, and so they would talk to you about, you could communicate through email, and that was something no one knew, and they'd tell you how to get the email. And but other than that, when you go up there, you meet friends of, like Deanne had friends, and you meet their parents and talk to them. And the other thing, when you go up there and you take your daughter or your son out to dinner, don't think they're taking your son or your daughter. They're going to take a group of people out to dinner because they can't get off the plane. Can we go with you, Deanne? And Deanne would say, oh, can we go with you? You know, and then Wes Glisson was a boy that was at Huntsville High School at the end, and he was a year behind. And the Glissons would always be with us, and you'll make really good friends. But if you can find somebody who's been ahead, like you can always call us or talk to us, because it's not an easy journey. It's not like Deanne would have gone to the University of Texas, which was her choice, and it's completely different because you cannot come home. And I think that's one of Deanne's biggest things. She would get so frustrated. She'd want to come home to a wedding, or she'd want to come home to something. And she'd have to get permission. And she'd say, if I was any other place, I could just come home. And sometimes they would give her permission, and sometimes they wouldn't. And but it was, then when she always says it's a great place to be from. So it's, you know, it's the connections that she's made, the people she's met, and it's just, but it's 4 years of hard work. But I'd go, you'll get to, after now this is at the Air Force after, and I've forgotten about this, but halfway through basic training, you're paired up with a sponsor parent, and you get to go to their home, and you get to use the telephone, and for the first time, they get to call home, and you'll be very anxious, and you know, and they're gonna say, oh. But the sponsor parents are wonderful. Deanne has sponsor parents, and you get to go spend the night with them. You don't have to wear a uniform at their house, and it's a comfortable feeling. Deanne had wonderful sponsor cadets, and then when she went back and taught chemistry at the Air Force Academy, she had 5 sponsor cadets, and those 5 children are still her children. You know, they come by, they visit, they come over, they come to her children's birthday parties. And Deanne said she did not know if she could made it without her sponsor parents. I mean, they were really a refuge to her. And then when I go up there, I get to stay with the sponsor parents, you know, because they lived right outside the gate, and they were very nice. So, and her husband was a pilot for the Air Force and had also graduated from the Air Force Academy. So anyway, it was, you go to the parades, football games, and the other thing I'll tell you that they told us, and when y'all go up to Parents Weekend and you're all excited and you want to hear every word, and they just get in bed and sleep. That's it. That's it. They don't want to talk. They don't want to communicate. You know, they just want to sleep. And and that was, I thought, I wish she'd say something. And then she just wanted to rest, and we go for a ride, and we found the Cherry Creek Mall in Denver. And so anyway, we went up there and we drove around, and so Colorado Springs is a nice place to be there. Any questions?
And those parents clubs are local that you can
Yes,
engage in?
the one that we were in, well, see, we were in Huntsville, but the one we were in was in Houston. And they would have them, you might get on the internet and search, because they'd have them at different places. They might have them in the Woodlands, because different people were, then they had some down south of Houston, I think some in Katy, never in Huntsville. But, you know, just different places. And you go and people would just talk about the experience, you know.
And they would usually have to tailgate at football games, like for the big one, Parents Weekend or something, so that you would, there was a place where everybody could go and meet other types of parents.
And the other thing you'll get that you'll wear very proudly is you'll get a blue little thing that's the shape of Texas, and it'll have your cadet's name on it. And like she was class of 99, so everything is 99. And so if you were from Oklahoma, you had Oklahoma, but Texas was the best. And you know that. Then go to the gift store, and they have T-shirts. I still have mine. In fact, I told Deanna I was going to wear mine today, and she said, "Mother, please." And it says Air Force Academy Mom, you know, and there's a dad, and you know, so I have all kinds of paraphernalia, and I have a lot of red, white, and blue, and you know, but it was, you go to the gift store, and if y'all haven't been, now, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the Army or the Navy, but they have when you go up there, there's a little room, and they have a film about the Air Force Academy and stuff, and that's really worth watching. And then you can walk around, they have like all different kinds of things. But you'll get all kinds of paraphernalia, and now I'm getting all kinds of paraphernalia for my babies. And she proudly wears on her license plates on her car, she has Air Force Academy alumni. So, anyway, it's, I wish y'all all the best. And it's a long day. It won't be like taking 3 hours at Sam Houston or University of Texas. So, good luck to you.
Parents, you will survive. The students will do great. Y'all, all you have to do is remember to survive.
Thanks, Joe and Judy. And I don't know who's more proud of Dan, Joe and Judy, or Kay and Dr. Tim Deal, who are, I think, is equally proud. Thanks for joining us today as well, you guys. It's an honor for me to introduce our keynote speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Spence, Lieutenant Colonel Spence is the branch chief for the Integrated Space Enhancement, Air Force Studies and Analysis, Assessments, and Lessons Learned. That doesn't fit on a bumper sticker very well as at the U.S. Air Force's headquarters in Washington, D.C. She's in the Pentagon. She reports to Secretary of the Air Force and the Air Force Chief of Staff, who rely on her for providing analysis on the multi-billion-dollar space program. She looks to the future, helping our senior military leaders make the right decisions on space technology. This is not a responsibility she gained overnight. She graduated from the Air Force Academy, as Judy said, in 1999 and launched her stellar career serving as flight test engineer, laser vulnerability engineer, chief legislative liaison for defense programs, and more. She pursued postgraduate education management opportunities and even served as an assistant professor of chemistry at the U.S. Air Force Academy. Congress has relied on her knowledge for billions of dollars in military investments that keep us all safe. The list of honors she's received is impressive, including among them a Bronze Star, which is a major achievement for any military officer, and that's just one of many achievements and medals. Please welcome today our special guest, Lieutenant Colonel Deanne Spence.
Alrighty, thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you for certainly having me here today, sir. It's a pleasure. You don't get out of Washington, D.C. too often and do these types of things, and so it's exciting for me to be here and be back in the state of Texas. It's also Father's Day weekend, so I get bonus points for being here. So do we have any Academy grads here today? Any of the academies, or brothers, sisters who went to the academies? All right, so this is a new, I think I heard somebody has a brother or sister there at Annapolis? West Point, okay. So it's pretty new to everybody, so I would reiterate what my parents said, is to just sort of breathe. I looked online and I saw that I think in processing for Annapolis and Air Force is the 27th of June and the 1st of July for West Point, if I remember the dates right. So it's 2 weeks away, it's coming up, I'm sure, just breathe. It'll be okay. You guys will get through it. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate you guys. I don't think everybody's here, but 12 of you from the district who are going to one of the service academies. And it's a great honor. I looked over some of your records and resumes that I was prepping for today, and without question, I would have not gotten into the academy at this time. As I think has been mentioned, I graduated in 1995, which means I went there in 1995. Graduated in 99, went there in 95, which I think is when most of you were born. So when you graduate, class of 2017, I'll be 2 years from retirement, which is also a scary thought. But that's good. So when you guys go, the first thing I'm going to say is the electronics are going to be an issue, I can tell. I mean, because when I went, like my mom said, the internet was really new. Cell phones were barely, they were still like this big. Things you probably see in the Smithsonian now. So, so that's going to be probably the biggest adjustment that you guys are going to have, that you're not going to have your cell phones with you. And when you in process, they're going to take it, along with your civilian clothes and everything else, your hair, all that other stuff. So when you get there, just sort of prepare for that. I don't know, give yourself a day not to use your phone or something just to get ready for it. But anyway, so I wanted to also, as it's been mentioned here, congratulate the parents. People don't get here by themselves, and they're not going to get through it by themselves either. So it is a tremendous testament to what you guys have done to get them to this place. Thank you for allowing them to go to the academies. They will be okay. We will take care of your babies. When they across the bridge and they can't call you for 3 weeks, it's going to be an anxious time for you guys, but they will be well taken care of. They will be fed. They'll get mostly enough sleep. But it's going to be a fun journey for you guys, and your job isn't over when you say goodbye. It's just starting, and writing letters, sending care packages, little things like that are always good things to help do. So before I jump in, I know Congressman Brady gave me a very nice introduction. I just want to talk a little bit about my 8.5 years that I spent in Colorado Springs. And so obviously my knowledge is really solely focused on the Air Force Academy, but I've spent a lot of time, when I went back and taught, I really got involved with West Point. I was also involved in Annapolis. And one of the jobs that I had when I was back at the Air Force Academy, I worked in the front office, and so we dealt with the other service academies a lot. And so while my story is very Air Force Academy centric, all of the academies are very similar, especially for like basic training, getting through your freshman year, some of the big milestones along the way. And so I'll try to keep my comments up at that level. But as been mentioned, I grew up in Huntsville. My plan was to go to the University of Texas, live in the Hardin House, be a Kappa. That was what I wanted to do. Wanted to hang out on 6th Street, party. I really didn't have much of a plan after that. It was, I thought living in Austin and tubing down the Guadalupe River, any opportunity I got sounded amazing. And so one day I get a phone call from the Air Force Academy tennis coach, and they say, you know, we'd like to potentially recruit you to play tennis. And I was like, who is this? What? The Air Force Academy has tennis? I literally had no idea. My parents had not served in the military. No one in my really immediate family other than my grandfathers had been in the military. So I didn't really know what it was about. And so they said, well, we'll bring you here for a recruiting trip. And I was like, okay. So you go, it's a glorious day in Colorado Springs. There's a football game. You see all these great things. And so we went, and at the time, my congressman was Charlie Wilson of Charlie Wilson's war fame, among other things. The parents probably remember him. But Charlie Wilson was my congressman, and so just like, even though I was a recruited athlete, I had to go through all the same processes to get the appointment and all of that. So I got my appointment from him, and I'll never forget, I was playing tennis somewhere in Texas, and I was with my mom, and my dad calls and says, you got a letter from the Air Force Academy. And I was like, really? You know, thinking what's it going to say? You know, you don't know. If it said I didn't get an in, then I could go to the University of Texas. I mean, there's all these things going through your head. And so he was like, you got accepted to the academy. And I was like, what? I was shocked then. I'm still shocked that I got into the academy. But so I got the appointment and I got in, and then the letter said, and you have like 2 days to make a decision if you're going to go or not. And I was like, what? 2 days? I mean, this is, you know, the rest of my life. And I'm thinking 2 days. And of course, my parents put the hard sell on, you know, like, this is an opportunity. You can't pass it up. You can jump out of airplanes. You can fly airplanes. You can just think of all the people you're going to meet. You're going to live in Colorado. There's mountains there. I mean, all of, you know, it was whatever, you know, everything they could do to talk me into going. So ultimately, I came to the decision that I could go. I couldn't say no and then go later. So I had to say, my decision was that if I went and it really didn't work out for me, that I could always leave and go to Texas or another university. There was always that opportunity. The University of Texas is going to be open. There's going to be room in the Hardin House next year. And so I made the decision to go, and I got to keep playing tennis. So that was really awesome as well. And so I went, and that was a hard first day. So you go, and it's as I can imagine the anxiousness that you guys are feeling right now, and just the stress, because you really don't know what it's going to be like. And so hopefully my comments here today will help ease some of that. You're still going to be very stressed when you get there. But so, you know, after 4 years, I graduated. It was a surprise to me. It was a surprise to a lot of people in Huntsville. I think I even surprised my parents by graduating. And I can tell you some more stories about the time I was there. But, you know, it was a good time. The whole picture was a good time. There were good days. There were bad days. And then luckily, 4.5 years after I graduated, I got asked to come back and teach. And so that was really life-changing for me. It was the best job I've ever had, and it's the best job I ever will have, because I got to be in an environment where I was with you guys every day. And so I was teaching, I was mentoring, I was helping kids try to avoid some of the pitfalls, especially academically, that I had experienced. You know, the academy is a marathon, it's not a sprint by any stretch of the imagination, and you don't know that going in. And you need somebody who's been there, done that, and a lot of your instructors will have been grads from your respective universities. But you just need somebody who you can trust, and you'll find those people. You'll immediately click with the teacher or somebody else, an upperclassman, probably not an upperclassman while you're a freshman, just because they're probably yelling at you. But you're going to find niches, and you're going to find people who are your support network. And I encourage you to do that, whether through the sponsor program or through instructors or other people, because you're going to need that sort of people to help you validate that you made the right decision. So I have sort of 4 main points that I want to talk to you about as we kind of pull the skirt back a little bit and sort of take a look at what it's going to take to make it through. But I want you to know the hard part is actually over. You're in. That's a big deal. You are in. That's the biggest hurdle you've got to get over. Whichever academy you're going to, all of the people who are working at that academy, their entire goal in life is to see you graduate from the academy. They're not there to kick you out. They're not there to make life harder. They're not there. They're just there to sort of grow you into an officer that when you graduate, you'll be ready to lead other people. And so it's the biggest hurdle is done. So congratulations again for making it past this hurdle. And remember, when you're having a bad day, when you think you're failing a class, when your shoes aren't shined right or whatever, and they're yelling at you, that nobody's there. They don't want to see you leave. They just want to stress you a little bit to make sure that that you have what it takes to lead our nation. So the first main point is maintain your motivation. So right now you're probably very motivated. You probably do lots of push-ups, run a really fast 1.5 miles. You know, all these things that you've been working so hard. You've been studying, probably reading up on the Air Force Academy, or any of the academies, and trying to just get more familiar with the environment you're going to go into. That motivation may dwindle a little bit along the route. And so especially in basic training, you're going to get there on a processing day, and you're going to think, oh my goodness, what have I done? I mean, for me, that was about 2.2 seconds after I crossed the bridge. But you're going to get there, you're going to go to sleep the first night, you're going to be in a different place, you're going to be in different clothes, you're going to be with different people, you're going to have a roommate, and you're going to think, you're going to sit there with your roommate and you're going to think, what are we doing here? This is going to, how are we going to make it through the next 6 weeks of basic training? And so, trust me, you're going to make it through. Basic is going to be hard. It's going to be mentally challenging. It's going to be physically challenging. What I personally did when I was there was I came up with, there's 3 meals a day. They have to take you to eat. So in the morning, the first thing you're probably going to do is maybe a little bit of PT, something to get your day going off to a great start. And then they're going to take you to eat. And then you're going to go do something else. And then you're going to go to eat lunch. And then go do something else. And then eat dinner. So 3 meals a day. And so what I found was after dinner each day, the physical stuff was over. You probably had to go listen to some briefings. They may yell at you a little bit more, something of this nature. But the physical part was over. And so you are going to kind of be able to prepare yourself for the next day. But when I got through the 3rd meal, I was like, okay, I made it through another day. So once you make it through dinner, you're like, that day's over. And then I get to start over in the next morning. They're probably going to be blaring music or whatever to wake you up, pounding on your doors and all of this to get you out of bed. But then, so you're starting off and you count the meals. You count breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you will get by. After basic training, though, it doesn't stop there. You have to maintain your motivation. And all of the academies have great programs. How many intercollegiate folks are here? How many people are going to be playing a sport? 3 of you? A lot of people go in and that's recruited, and that's going to be great because you are instantly going to have a network of people as well. Your coaches, you're going to have an upper class cadre that's going to sort of take you in and not really yell at you, hopefully help show you the ropes a little bit. They may yell at you a little bit, but that'll be sort of more for fun later so that they can have a joke. But if you're not, or if something happens and you're not playing your sport anymore, just get involved. All of the academies have clubs, they have trips, they have different programs that you can become involved in. Whatever your niche in life is, you know, from the chess club to the parachute team at the Air Force Academy, the ski team, sailing team at Annapolis, whatever it is, they have it, and you can become involved. And again, it's going to only broaden your network of people that are going to be your support network when things may start to go bad. As I mentioned, you're going to have good days and bad days. It's okay. They didn't have Facebook when I went to school either. Okay, so like I mentioned, the internet was pretty new. Your friends are not having as much fun as they say they are on Facebook. I promise. I promise you they are not. So do not, I mean, I would recommend trying to avoid Facebook as much as possible during basic training. I mean, well, you certainly will be avoiding it during basic training, but after, when you're a freshman, because it's a time sink and all of this, but you're only going to start to doubt yourself when you see all your friends post and how much fun they're having on 6th Street and you're not there. But anyway, so just remember that maintain that motivation, and when you need an outlet, try to find ways to find outlets that are going to benefit you and, you know, help you get through the bad times. Build friendships. I can't stress this enough. On that first day, you're going to be thrown in a group with 25 people who are your squadron. These are about 25 people. These are your people. These are, you know, nobody else is going to help you get through, especially this 6-week period. And beyond that, your year as a dually, a plebe, a freshman. These are your core friends that you have to rely on for everything. If you can't shine your shoes well, you're going to have to ask for help. If you can't make your bed right, you ask for help. You know, or if you're good at something, you offer help. But those friendships are going to last you absolutely throughout your lifetime. I mean, I have friends, you know, I had a party, just as a bit of a side, I had a party about a month ago for one of my sponsor cadets who just graduated from Georgetown Medical School and he just moved to San Antonio, and he's one of the premier orthopedic residents for the Air Force. So, which, as a side, the Air Force paid for all of that. But I had a party at my house for him and his family to celebrate him going on. And the first person I met on basic training was at my house. He happens to be stationed in Washington, D.C. right now, too. It's the first time since we've been in the military that we've been stationed in the same place. But JB came to our party, and it's like we've never not been friends. I mean, it's like we've never left. We've always kept in touch. We've always known what each other are doing. We've helped each other out along the way. He's much more into the military, you know, stuff than I am. And so he helps me when I need help. When he needs help with other things, that's where he'll call me and ask him. But those friendships, I mean, I can tell you probably 100 of those stories of friends that I have throughout the Air Force, my Air Force family, that have helped me along the way, and that you just maintain those friendships. And it's going to be those friendships when you're failing chemistry, or when you're struggling, when you're like, literally JB, my friend, struggled with math, but he wanted to be a CE major. So we stayed up together all night as cadets. He had to take a math final to pass the class. And I taught him pretty much as much calculus as I could in one sitting throughout the night. And he passed, and it was fine, and now he's a great CE person for the Air Force. But those are the kinds of friendships you build, and those are the things you do. And then, so 18 years later, those are the people who are still in the trenches with you and your friends. Academics are 65% of your cadet career. Academics are 65%, not military, not how well you shine your shoes, not how close your haircut is or whatever, or how well you clean your room. It's 65% of your cadet career. So how many people didn't have to study in high school? Most of you. It's okay. I didn't either. That's all right. Most of you probably didn't have to study in high school, or high school wasn't hard for you. So most people go into the academies thinking it's going to be the same type of learning, and it's not. It's different in that you have so much other stuff going on that you have a pretty heavy class load. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of homework. There's all of this. So if you can manage to get on top of that and time management, that's a key thing. So I told you I'd tell you some more stories. So me standing here, graduate, I failed my first engineering class. I thought I wanted to be an engineer. That went right out the window. I failed my very first engineering class, Ingermech 200 or 120. I failed that class, and so I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to kick me out of school. Luckily, I was a freshman, and so all I had to do was retake the test. Retake the class, not the test, the whole class. I had to retake it. And what happened was I got a B the second time around. Why? Because I actually studied. I wasn't just thinking, oh yeah, I can listen in class and take the notes and wing it on the test like I'd done in high school. I went back, I did the homework, I studied. It's all about your preparation for class, and that's a big deal. I'm a chemistry major, and I went back and taught chemistry. And I got a 7% on one of my chemistry tests. I may as well have just slept through it, right, and got a 0. It would have probably been better use of my time. But I got a 7%, and that moment at the Air Force Academy changed my entire academy career and my entire sort of outlook on life. But I was a junior already, and so I was behind the power curve a lot. I ended up I went and talked to one of my teachers who was my freshman chemistry teacher, and I said, look, I need help. I'm trying to be a chemistry major. I just got a 7% on my test. Something has to give here. Either I need to change majors or I need to figure out how to do better in chemistry. And so he sat down with me and worked with me every day. I was a junior. I felt like I should have known how to study by that point. He sat down with me every single day, and we worked extra problems. It was physical chemistry was the class, and we worked extra problems. We did extra reading. We did extra derivations of math equations and all of this. But he really took the time. And that's when I realized that the people who are there at the academy, as I've mentioned, are there to help you succeed. They don't want to see you get kicked out. They don't want to see you change your major. They have invested in you to be there, and they want you to succeed. So from an academic standpoint, just remember that academics are 65% of your grade. So on that note, I have two, you're probably not going to remember anything I say, and that's okay. I'll leave my phone number and email address, and if you have any questions along the way, parents or cadets or mids, I'm happy to answer them later. But two things. The academics are tough, and without question, you're going to be sitting there one night, and you're going to think, it would be so much easier to find a way to, cheat or something like that. It would just be easier. I could go to bed. I can copy a paper from the internet. I can do something else that's going to make this easier for me. There are few things that will get you kicked out of the Air Force or any of the service academies, but honor is probably the number one thing. If you cheat on something, you're gonna find a very fast exit from one of the academies. It's a hard truth. I want to be as honest as possible with you guys. If something happens and you can't take it, if you're going to get a 7% on a test, you're going to get a 0 on a paper. It would be better to take the 0 or the 7% on the paper than to cheat and get caught. So you may have, if you have academic troubles, you may have to retake the test. You may have to retake the class or put in extra time or get on probation because you don't have a great GPA. That's completely different than getting kicked out because you cheated. And it's only because, not because you want to cheat, your parents didn't raise you that way, but you got backed into a corner and you felt like that was your only way out. I'm telling you, go talk to your instructors. They will help you. They will figure out a way to get you past this and help you to recover for that class. Military versus academic standards. So I know that you guys are going to a military academy, and you are probably super gung-ho, as I mentioned, about the push-ups and the running and the shining the shoes and the uniform looking all starchy and all of this. So, and in basic training, that's what the focus is going to be on. And learning your knowledge, learning all these facts and figures about the Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, or West Point. That's going to be the path. But when you get into the academic year, you have to make a mental transition that academics are the most important thing. You're not going to get kicked out of one of the service academies because you can't shine your shoes well or you can't make your bed. Now, what is going to happen is there's going to be an upperclassman yelling at you in your face like this, you know, and you're like, why are you such a terrible person? You can't shine your shoes, or you didn't clean your room, and there's dust in your sink, and there's going to, you know, it's going to be like ridiculous, and you're really going to want to laugh at them. And I encourage you to inside, not outwardly, laugh at them. But remember this, when you're faced with a decision, because you only have so much time during the day, do I study for my chemistry test or do I shine my shoes so this guy in the morning will stop yelling at me and just driving me crazy? The decision is to study for your chemistry test first, and then if you have time, shine your shoes. I guarantee you're going to get in a situation in your freshman year where you're thinking, that girl was crazy. Like, I'm shining my shoes first. And that's okay if you do that. But please, please, please remember, you're not going to get kicked out because of your military standards. You will struggle and you will be on academic probation and you will find the quickest exit is to get kicked out academically, other than honor. But you know, if you start to struggle academically and that spirals too far, you'll get kicked out and you won't be able to sort of recover from that. So those are two key points, the honor and the military versus academic standards. Parents remind them of that when they call and they're like, this upperclassman just is writing me about my shoes. Just say, okay, go study. Take a break from that and go study. And the last point I really want to make is start strong and create good habits. I think all of my points have really focused on time management. That's a key. And for the people who are intercollegiates, I actually think this is an easier process for you, because what's going to happen is once you start school, you're going to go to class, you're going to go to practice, and then you're going to have about 3 to 4 hours in the evening where the upperclassmen can't bug you that you're going to study. And that's true across the board, whichever academy you go to. That's going to be your life. And so what you know is, because you play sports now and you have to study now, it's like I have to get my practice in, I have to do all of the stuff I need to do for my athletics, and then I need to go study. And it's a process, and it gets tiring, and you're not going to want to do it day in and day out. But if you start those good habits early, then they will stick with you. Because I guarantee you, you're sitting here thinking, you know, once I get past my freshman year, it's smooth sailing. To me, actually, my sophomore year was much harder than my freshman year, because now nobody cared if I was doing poorly. No one was checking up on me. When I was a sophomore, it was all on me. And so all of those habits that I had developed or not developed really came back to bite me when I was a sophomore. And so for your generation and your age group, there's so many more pitfalls with Facebook and Skype and FaceTime and just the internet in general and emailing and how everybody communicates. So I'd encourage you to try, I know it's difficult, but to say, okay, like I'm going to check Facebook at the beginning of academic call to quarters, I'm going to check it at the end before I go to bed. Or I'm going to try to Skype only in like a 30-minute window. And if I miss that window with my family and friends, I'll do it tomorrow. But really try to limit how much time you're doing other things, because you really want to set those good habits to get you going. Two more quick things, sort of going back to honor, the rules. And I say this only because I promised Congressman Brady that I would try to give you sort of the lay of the land so you don't walk into any pitfalls. The rules. So there's lots of rules at the Air Force Academy. Less rules than if you would have gone to another university or any service academy. You can't leave, you can't wear civilian clothes, you can't have girls or boys of the opposite sex in your dorms, you can't have civilians in without it being, kind of approved, and they get a badge that says they're outsider, whatever. You're going to break rules. Everybody breaks rules. We break rules. Like, I'm sure everybody sitting in the room has broken a rule. You know, curfew, whatever it is, small, big, I don't know. You've broken a rules. So again, if you get caught breaking a rule, do not lie about it. Just come clean. You will, more likely than not, you can overcome whatever the infraction is. You may have to sit confinements, you may have to march tours, you may, your immediate life may be less enjoyable because of you breaking the rule. But if you lie about it, it's going to compound the problem, and again, you're going to kind of be shown the exit from the academy. So that's an important point. And the last thing, my mom has already talked about a little bit about the sponsor program. You're going to get, when you get there, if you're an intercollegiate, you may get matched up with your team, your coach or something like that as a sponsor. Otherwise, the sponsor program, if people know what the sponsor program is, I won't talk about it. How many people don't know what the sponsor program is? The majority? So people know what it is? Okay. I'll give a quick plug for those of you who don't. So the sponsor program is the people in the community, whatever community you're going to, volunteer to open their homes to the cadets or midshipmen. And so they say, like, I can take 3 cadets, I can take 2 cadets. So they usually have some number of cadets in ranging ages of, from freshmen through seniors. And so you get your first introduction to them at the halfway point of basic training when you get to go to their house and you kind of get to eat a lot of food and they make a big deal and you get to call home, and that really is your safe haven. I encourage you to get to know your sponsor families, use them. You go over there and you sort of veg out, watch movies, whatever, eat their food, all of their food. They're okay with it. They wouldn't have you if they didn't want you. Do your laundry over there, but more importantly, it's just a way for you to get a break from being in the dorms and being at the academies, and you need that. And they're another cog in your support network when things go poorly, because you're going to also need to rely on them for transportation and stuff like that. They'll take you to and from the airports and these sorts of things. So, but the sponsor program, it's the most rewarding thing that I've gotten to do. It was when I was teaching, I went back and it was a big deal to me, and we sponsored 6 cadets. And those cadets have gone on and they're pilots and maintenance officers and various other things in the Air Force. But we got to be part of their academy life. And so for us, you may think, oh, they don't care about ring dance, or they don't care about where I'm going for the summer programs, but they do, because they want to help you and they want to mentor you and they want to see you grow into the officers that you guys are going to be. And so use your sponsor families. If you find out you end up with a sponsor family that isn't great, that doesn't really want to participate, cadets travel in packs. And so talk to one of your friends, talk to one of your buddies. They probably have a cool sponsor parent, and then you can go over there and hang out with them. But just find that outlet, because it is very important. So that's really all I have to say. My last little plug for you guys is to congratulate you again. I'm often asked, am I worried about America, the state of America, where we are? And I always say, I look out at you guys, I look out in Airman's eyes, I look out at your eyes, and I thank you for raising your hand, for saying, I want to serve my country. It's after September 11th. You know what you're walking into. And so because of all of that, I'm not nervous about where we are as a country. In fact, I'm excited about where we are as a country, and I thank you again for your service and wish you the best of luck at the academies. Thank you.
Great job, Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you for the advice. Thanks for the offer to be a resource going forward. And your point, as you were talking about your lifelong friends, most people know I live here in Montgomery County, commute to work each week. I've done that 2 million miles worth. But in Washington, I live with 3 other members of Congress. We all have young families. We all commute to work. But the friend I came in with as a freshman, and my roommate is John Shimkus from Illinois, West Point grad, Ranger, now on the Board of Supervisors, will be the next head of the Board of Supervisors at West Point. But every month, Dan, he is one of his West Point buddies is coming through, one of his professors is coming through, the unit he served with is coming through. You're exactly right. These are lifelong friendships that are made that never go away, and I think he's in the best mood when one of his West Point, friends comes through. So that is great advice. So thank you very much for being here. To our students and parents, I hope you've enjoyed hearing from and meeting everyone here today. I hope you'll all leave here with a better understanding of the path you're about to follow and a little more prepared for what you're going to experience, including not just the pitfalls, but the persistence that it requires to to serve and survive in all this. I hope you take this opportunity to get to know each other. I really do want to know how you're doing, so if you could drop us not during basic, at some point, drop us an email, a Twitter, something, just let us know, or tell your parents how you're doing and have them let us know how you're doing, because we really like to keep up with you. Again, to the cadets, midshipmen, all of you, I want to thank you for volunteering to serve our country. This really is the best of America. I am more excited about our country when I see the young and future leaders of our nation. And so you guys get us fired up as well. So, again, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, thanks for your service. Best luck in the academies, and someday we'll have you back to talk here at this breakfast as well. Thank you. God bless you. Russell, do we want to get a photo with our... Oh, I'm sorry. Let me... Thank you. I want to thank Lieutenant Colonel Deanne Spence for being here today, for taking time from your busy schedule, for being here for Father's Day as well. Please accept this gift on my behalf. And for Joe and Judy, thanks for coming down, for taking your time. You're great parents and a huge help, inspiration to us all. So thanks you guys. That'll teach me to turn the last page to make sure I do it right. I want to thank everyone for attending. We had, I want to thank Jane Jones with Jubilation Fine Catering. Always does a great job. Where's Jane? Thanks for doing a super job. And the staff at Woodlands United Methodist Church always opens a room for us and church for us. They do this. They're just great parts of this community. I want to thank them as well. Please know our office is here to help you. So anything you need, any problem that arises, any communication that needs to be made, we're here to serve you. This time, thank you again. Appreciate it.